He wants to stay in Pittsburgh. He becomes a free agent. He's never been a classic free agent before. Last year he was a free agent, but he had a $39 million cushion from the Broncos. He was going to take the league minimum from someone else and stick Denver with the difference. This year he's got no cushion. He's got nothing. He's going to get whatever he can find on the open market. That's never happened. He's 36. And Devin, I'm going to be fascinated by this because I think Mike Tomlin might have a blind spot for Russell Wilson that others in the organization don't. If Tomlin is back, that means the views of others who think that maybe it's time to move on from Wilson will have not prevailed in the showdown between Tomlin and others who I think would rather go in a different direction.
And I think one of the interesting things that Mike Tomlin is going to have to take into consideration too is, how does the locker room feel? And, you know, I don't think a lot of us knew exactly what was going on in Seattle, but as time went on, it just, and I'm not saying Russell Wilson's a bad guy. I've been around Russell Wilson a bunch of different times. I think he's one of the best people you could be around. But overall, it never seemed like it was a really good vibe in Seattle. With everything they had going on, as good as that team was, it just felt like it was never a true, like, cohesive locker room when it comes to Russell Wilson and the rest of the guys in the locker room. So I'm very interested in what is the feeling in Pittsburgh. Like, that Pittsburgh locker room fell apart at the end of the season. And it's not often we talk about the locker room in Pittsburgh. Yeah, they might not have won some of the games, Mike Tomlin winning seasons, but we don't normally look and we see Cam Hayward and different players talking about, you know, we're not all on the same page and different things going on like that. We see George Pickens after the game, and I know George Pickens is kind of in a category of his own right now, but he talked about the growth of the offense, and they asked him, is he optimistic about next year? He said no. Like, what does that mean? Are you not optimistic because you think the quarterback's coming back? Do you want another like, what is creating that? So I think that's going to be a huge part of this. You mentioned if guys on staff don't really buy in and the guys in the locker room aren't buying in, like that decision to keep him, if it's not felt throughout the whole team, I think could really weigh them down and be something that stops them from maybe even having a winning season next year if they run it back with Russ.
There's always been a question with Russell Wilson as it relates to authenticity. I mean, let's just say it. And I'm not going to be one of these guys who bashes him when he's doing poorly and then kisses his ass when he's doing well. I'm going to keep it real here. He has a good way about him from an outsider's perspective. He inspires people to be good. He acts like someone who is good. And if that's the persona you're going to have, you could do a hell of a lot worse because kids see that, right? So there are admirable traits to the way he carries himself. Whether it's real or not is a different thing. And who's going to sniff it out faster than the collective wisdom of a locker room if a guy isn't authentic? And who's going to resent him faster? Who's going to be looking for things that are just like they want to roll their eyes about than the guys in the locker room? And that's what happened in Seattle. They didn't take to him because, oh, he's a company man and, you know, he's always saying go Hawks. And they used to, it's a football team. It's a locker room. And that's not going to fly there. It might fly on TV or in 30-second sound bites. It's not going to fly in the space where these guys show up and work every day for 5 months. It's just not going to work.
And that's the key. You be whoever you want to be in front of a microphone when you go do your commercials or you're in public spaces. But that locker room is a safe haven. And I'll say that I played with one of the most famous players that you played with in the NFL, Tom Brady. In that locker room, he was himself. We cracked jokes on him. He cracked jokes on other people. There was a feeling of just, this is Tom Brady. Like, guys that maybe only played on the team for 3 years felt like they knew Tom Brady from sharing a locker room with him. He was just himself in that locker room. And I think players get used to that. They want to have that feeling of this guy's himself. Even if you're an a-hole. I've played with some a-holes, but you know who he is.
Work with some now.
And you respect. And when we're in that screening room, you're always an a-hole. And we respect that about you.
Life is hard enough. This is my general approach. Life is hard enough without trying to be something other than who you are. When you put that bag down and just be yourself, it simplifies your existence tremendously. So that's my excuse. I can't change who I am, but I can control being only who I am at all times. Let's take a. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.